Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring shArk in your top left corner, playing the blue Protoss, and in your top right corner we have DarthCaesar, Caesar, to his friends. Darth is playing the red Terran. Red versus blue, I believe both players are in the low masters, which means that they're phenomenal. And we are on Antigua Shipyard, which tells me that this is on the ladder, playing for the big bucks, those points. It's going to be a good game. Anytime you have masters involved, it's a good game. But nobody wants to see somebody steamrolled, so hopefully both of these players are of comparable abilities. Nothing really exciting right now. TVP, well known for its macro fest, just depending on who can hold the pressure early on and keep up that pressure. shArk's spinning out that super early scout. That probe's going to come in and see that Caesar is already starting on a, supply depot wall off. Probably a bunker's going to go down next, and then another supply depot. Nothing phenomenal. What is phenomenal is that Darth is not grabbing any super early gas. Neither is shArk. So no super early tech. Antigua is known for its longer rush distance. You really want to limit the amount of aggression that comes out of either player, as long as those infrastructure, those units producing buildings go down in their base. If you scout their base and you see absolutely no barracks at the 2 or 3 minute mark, you start to get concerned that maybe there's a proxy rack somewhere close by. Maybe right here is where I usually put it, just out of range of a scouting prone, but if it gets scouted, you can lift it up, move it somewhere else. Buy yourself a little bit more time. Speaking of buying time, we can see that the supply depot was thrown down but not completed by a unit, just to deny any further scouting after it chased the probe out of the main base of Darth. The supply depot wall off was completed. No wall to speak of going up in shArk's main base, but we can see that the first gas has been grabbed, as well as a cybernetics core. Some early tech out of shArk, totally standard at this point. You want to get that warp tech up so that you can have some aggression right up on the front door. We can see that supply depots, Caesar is scouting with a marine, just making sure that there's no pylons behind the main base mineral line. That natural mineral line, it's a perfect place to throw down a pylon, maybe right here, and then a photon cannon, which is defended by the pylon as it warps in. It's a really devastating tactic, very effective too. SCV scouting the early expand, another expand going down for Darth, both players grabbing their natural, so it's going to be a bit more of a macro fest. We can see a bunker going down on the low ground, both players beginning to dig in, hoping that no super aggression is coming out of the other player, and as we can see, because we're omnipotent in this matchup, that no, there's nothing coming out, so we're pretty much guaranteed to see at least the 10-minute mark, if not farther. Only a single gateway coming out for shArk right now, but he's grabbing both gas, which tells me that he's going to be teching much higher. Maybe a 2-gate into Robo, maybe a Robo immediately, or maybe, if we're lucky, we'll see some Stargate tech. Stargates are very effective because the gap spanning the main base to the natural is so small, and those void rays can get right up on the front door knocking, and even Phoenixes can do some devastation to the very exposed mineral lines that sit right next to the main. Factory coming down for shArk, for Darth. The factory is going to be a good play. Those Hellions are going to be able to close the gap very effectively, but more likely with the double gas being thrown out, Caesar is teching towards higher tech. Maybe we'll see a starport go down right underneath it, and then the factory is going to be producing an add-on. Only time will tell as both players begin to saturate their expands. 2 other gateways coming for shArk. It's a 3-gate, so hopefully we'll see whatever differentiates this build. Maybe it's going to be a 3-gate with blink, maybe some robo. This is an exciting time for the Protoss. Whenever it's a pretty good idea to throw down a scan in a couple of seconds. Maybe a suicide overlord if you play Zerg. Single stalker on the front door is going to get pushed away and taken down by the Marines. Some missed micro there. That stalker should have been able to outrun those Marines, but some slow reflexes by shArk means that he's a little bit behind on the resources lost. Of course, 200 resources, not the biggest thing in the world. Tech Lab has gone down from the factory, and once this starport finishes, it's going to take advantage of that tech Lab, which means that we're probably going to see some Banshee harass out of Darth. The Tech Lab is also going down on the factory, so it's not going to be used for Hellions. The harassment's going to be pure Banshee, but the Tech Lab on the factory means that we're going to see a heavy follow-up from the harassment. Some Marines, Marauders, and siege tanks. Hopefully we'll see the starport switch out with another add-on, a reactor, and get some multiple medevacs to support that army. I like how that medevacs kind of add the longevity to that army, allowing it to last and be more cost effective. A robotics facility will be finishing up for shArk in a couple of seconds. Hopefully he'll chrono boost out that first observer, which allows him to scout that Banshee harass as it comes in, and also provides some detection for those Banshees. But only time will tell. We can see the cloaking field is a little bit more than halfway done for Darth. This Stalker better controlled than the last. Some proper micro. The Marines are nervous about a proxy pylon, hoping that there's no aggression that's going to be sent out from shArk as counter-aggression from Darth as he moves this first Banshee into the probe line. Just going to be poking at the front door. Yes, an observer will be popping out at just the right time. The cloaking field will finish at the exact same time this observer is going to be spent up there. We already know that a couple of stalkers are on the field. We can see only one, but 7 sentries. And those sentries are going to do wonders at repelling the Banshee. Will this Banshee go down? It's only got 14 hit points. It's making a mad dash for it, and unfortunately the stalkers get there just a second too late. 1-1 coming out for the Protoss, but we can see level 1 ground Terran armor for vehicles is being started. That's a weird choice. Usually you see level 1 vehicle weapons, because the siege tanks usually lob damage from afar. I'm not sure what benefit that will do. Those siege tanks should be protected by a wall of Marines, and what upgrades are on those Marines? 0-0 right now. That's an interesting choice. I wonder if you guys know the benefit of that. I'd love to hear it. Why someone would grab that over level 1 armor, or even just going straight to the infantry. What's a good choice also is these sentries. Those multiple force fields will be useful at blocking off this ramp and also making it into a bit more of a choke point. You can see a Raven is coming out of the starport, which is also going to be very helpful. They're scouting that high ground, provided that these Banshees do go down during this harassment. A observer is positioned perfectly to hold back these Banshees, but I don't think shArk was expecting 3 Banshees at one time. These Banshees are doing terrible damage to that probe line, whittling it down to 43 over 57. We can see the major difference despite both players being matched on bases. So those Banshees doing a much better job than the previous one at doing damage, and also buying time for both players to tech very high. Thor's coming out, Colossus coming out. So it appears that the harassment out of the Banshees is doing the damage that it needs to do in order to keep shArk contained. But if shArk felt comfortable enough to push out, he could do some significant damage to that front door. Only populated by Terran. I wonder if there's charge on these Zealots. There is not. So they won't be able to close as quickly, but with all those sentries out there, capable of throwing down force fields to prevent their retreat despite the stem. An observer does go down. That Raven already paying for itself by providing some early detection, mobile detection specifically. That'll be very helpful in dealing with any DT harassment that can come out, not costing Darth a scam. This Colossus does not have thermal lances. That's going to be a couple seconds too late to repel this rush. It looks like Darth is moving forward with some just a heavy ground play. A single Thor in the air, a single Raven. This really nice diverse unit composition is really going to help him hold this door. But if he pushes forward, he's going to meet with 2 very distinctive groups. The Zealot, Colossus, Immortal, and then the very mobile Stalkers. Usually you only see one type of build that consists of either this group or this group, but to see them both out on the field means that they're very well equipped to deal with the multiple Banshee harass, and even the Raven with its siege tanks. The Raven scouting the high ground, but the siege tanks are going to be hard pressed against this Colossus, especially if the Marines overextend themselves into the AoE damage range. Twilight Council comes down. Hopefully we'll see some blink. No, instead we see a Dark Shrine. Where is the Dark Shrine? Dark Shrine coming out. I don't know if he's going to use this for harass. I don't see any proxy pylons on the minimap at all. But the DTs, if they get sent to the front line, they're going to meet a Raven, which is a detector, just right there. Those DTs probably aren't even going to make it to the siege tank. shArk knows that the Raven is there because that observer got taken down, unless he wasn't watching and he thinks that it was done by a scan. I guess that might be a pitfall. We can see a lot of bunkers going down on the low ground, really keeping shArk contained while Darth decides to take another expansion. His income is really going to be kicking up into high gear, 75 over 45 harvesters. shArk really needs Darth to push in right now, but Darth doesn't need to. He's got a really good contain on. He's denied any expansions. He hasn't really scouted anywhere on the lower ground. He might be nervous about a hidden expand at some point, but beyond that, Darth has this in the bag, 190 over 140 supply. shArk really hasn't been as aggressive as he needs to be, and the Banshee harass has been incredibly successful at just keeping shArk contained, keeping him away from any expands that Darth has grabbed. It looks like shArk, realizing that he's held back, pushes forward. 3 DTs go down almost instantly. The Zealots coming in doing some surprising damage to some misplaced siege tanks, but they're going to go down in short order. The Banshees, kind of isolated by themselves with an observer detecting them, even despite them being cloaked, are going to go take some serious damage. They're probably not going to go down completely. There's not enough sentries for that. The Vikings shelling down, taking down 2 of the Colossus, only 2 left right now. As the Terran army pushes forward, 180 over 64 supply. I feel like shArk was just a little bit too timid in this matchup, and he's going to be taken down by the airplay. Airplay is going to be taking down the rest of his army, while the ground army pushes up, takes down the natural expand before pushing up into the main. That's going to be a good game. You know what? It was a good game. I'm surprised that we didn't see more of that. A DT sneaking out, but I think it was because the pylon capable of warping down units on the low ground wasn't utilized. We needed some form of harassment out of Protoss. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. We had a Protoss that was a little bit more timid, a little bit shy of cheese, and just expected Terran to play fair, and unfortunately we had a lot of Banshees coming out that they're not fair. They do a lot of damage to probes, and if you don't have the protection already up before they get there, they do too much damage. And he had every opportunity. He had the robo down. He had the stalkers in place. He had the ability to counter them, and he just didn't. It is a shame. I appreciate, I guess Caesar was the one who posted this. Do you pronounce it Caesar, or do you pronounce it Caesar, or do you prefer Darth? I don't know. I play a lot of Fallout 3. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching this. If you have a comment, you could leave me a comment. If you have a game you want me to cast, you could send me a PM here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. Bye.